All right. Topic number one, the brand new PSP, the PlayStation Portal, only costs $199. It doesn't run anything locally, so it only streams games from your PS5 to the device over Wi Fi. Some interesting design choices with it. Sony's coming out with a cloud gaming service at some point in the future where you can cloud game PS5 games. This can't run that. It also can't play any games that you have through a PlayStation Plus subscription. Dozens and dozens of games that through a PlayStation Plus subscription you have access to that you don't have to, necessarily buy. You can kind of stream them from PlayStation. This can't run that either. It can only run games that are locally running and installed on your PlayStation 5 console. Also, you can't use Bluetooth headphones with it. You can only use wired headphones or Sony's new PlayStation Pulse Explore earbuds and Pulse Elite headset, which I think start at $100. Also, it's a 60 hertz LCD display, 8 inches, 1080p. So there's a few things that kind of have me scratching my head about this device, but I'm interested to hear what your thoughts are on, the design of it, some of the features that it has that it doesn't have. What are your thoughts?
Yeah. So I think a lot of the initial reaction to this is that it's kind of a not a great device, probably shouldn't exist. Uh, and I think for the most part, that's probably true. It's very limited in what it can do. The fact that it can only stream wirelessly from your PlayStation 5 is kind of interesting considering the PlayStation Vita was able to do remote play for PS4, but also play its own games. Um, and also, Sony has a track record of making great handhelds, and this is just not really that. It's not a dedicated handheld. Also, it can't do any online streaming games from PlayStation Plus, which it seems like that would have been a perfect addition to add to this, just to make it a little bit more versatile. And then on top of that, there is the added, reality that the way they're marketing this is a device just to use in your home. Yes, you can use it over Wi-Fi, away from your home as long as your PlayStation is connected to a network and is in standby mode. You should be able to connect to it, and if you have a good connection. But the way that they're marketing this is, no, you're just using this in the same room as your PlayStation, but without using your television in case someone else is using the television. So I think this is interesting in a couple ways. One, I think this once again proves that Nintendo is way ahead of the game always, despite the fact that the Wii U was kind of a failure. The Switch 2 is a big success, and this is, this PlayStation Portal is Sony completely copying what the Wii U gamepad was. Although I think the Wii U gamepad did it better because it didn't use the internet to stream to the gamepad. It had its own proprietary, streaming tech to make it very low latency. And from the tests that I've heard about, specifically about remote play, not about the PlayStation Portal, because people have gotten the chance to use the PlayStation Portal, but it was only at PlayStation in a very controlled environment. But when it comes to game streaming, I have heard people say, yeah, it's good, but there's always going to be the times when you get a little bit disconnected or things get pixelated because, once again, you're streaming a game over the internet and those things happen. So, overall, my impression of what Sony wants to do with this machine is not very positive, but I think that will potentially change. I think in previous podcasts, I mentioned the PlayStation TV, the Vita TV, and also the PlayStation 1 Classic, two consoles that they released, cheaper consoles that they released that did not, get good reception at first, but after getting, jailbroken and hacked, became really awesome devices. And I think the same thing can happen here. So just some background of what this device is. It is a handheld, fully integrated kind of device with DualSense controllers attached to either side of it. But the software, like you mentioned, it's just running your PlayStation 5 in remote play. So you just connect to your PS5 and then you have your PS5's screen. You're just controlling your PS5 remotely. But underneath that, it is running Android. You won't get to use that version of Android at all. It's going to be completely obscured from your view, and have its own kind of interface. But underneath whatever interface, Sony or PlayStation is going to run on top of that, it is going to be Android. So depending on what kind of internals are in this device, if it is, a decently powerful chip, and this thing does get jailbroken, I think it could be a pretty good device. I think it could be awesome to use in terms of Android gaming. You have the DualSense controllers, which are great. And the price for $199, if it does get jailbroken, I think would be great compared to a lot of the other Android-based handhelds that are out there. So there are things about it that I think could be really good. I just think the use case that Sony is pitching for it isn't really all that compelling to me personally. But I also don't own a PS5. You need to own a PS5 to use something like this. From your standpoint, it's going to be $199 USD. You do have a PS5. Do you have any interest of being able to have a Wii U style gamepad for your PlayStation 5? Maybe, being able to watch a TV show and play a game at the same time if you're just trying to, get some missions. Let's say you're playing Destiny or something like that, and you just want to do your dailies. I think it could be useful, but does that have any interest to you at all?
Absolutely no interest.
Uh,
One quick note. I think at some point you said Switch 2 was successful, but as we're gonna talk about later on today, the Switch 2 isn't out yet.
yes.
But the Switch was very successful, and just as you mentioned, this is essentially a Wii U from Sony. The Wii U was terrible.
Mm.
Yeah, I'm not excited for this. No interest in this at all. As you said, it probably shouldn't exist. So really the only serious use case that I see for this is, I guess, someone, I don't know, with a large enough household, whether it be, just so many people in it, or I guess enough, big enough where you have multiple people that say want to watch a TV, and this PlayStation is only on the one TV, or yeah, it's only connected to the one TV. And maybe it's it's the main living room, and the kids want to play PlayStation. They want to play, maybe Destiny, maybe Fortnite. They want to do their daily missions, but their parents won't let them. So then they have to go into another room, possibly, to play on their PlayStation Portal. I don't really see that being a large demographic. Like maybe someone wants to play their PlayStation in bed,
Mm.
and I don't know if they want to play their PlayStation in bed, but they don't have a TV in their bedroom, so they're playing on this instead of their PlayStation in bed, I guess, or maybe on the toilet if they don't want to, they don't want to stop gaming ever. They just gotta, game every second of the day possible, and they bring this onto their toilet while they're stepping away from their TV. But it doesn't seem that practical to me. And then even from what I've heard on the battery life, it's supposed to have the same battery life as a DualSense 5 controller, which isn't great. Like, yeah, you could probably game for a couple, the 2-3 hours away from your console, but then you just have to plug it back in and charge it somewhere, and then in that case, you might as well be playing on your console if you have to plug it in and charge it while you're at home, right? And as you mentioned, it's not necessarily like, I don't see people bringing this, let's say, to work or to school, and then you're on a lunch break and you connect to the Wi-Fi at your office, at school, but you've left your PlayStation on at home just so you can play on this handheld device. Like, doesn't really make sense. And then another thing is, it doesn't have Bluetooth.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the controllers, the DualSense, they're great. The screen, yes, it's only a 1080p LCD at 60 hertz, but it's like at an 8-inch screen size, that's more than enough. It would definitely be better if it was an OLED, but okay, it's only $199. So like it has some usability, but the fact that it doesn't have Bluetooth and you have to spend at least $100 to get these proprietary headphones from PlayStation to work with it, because it won't work with any other headphones unless they're wired, it's kind of like anti-consumer to me.
Mm-hmm.
And then, as we both mentioned, they're launching a cloud gaming service. And this would be an amazing opportunity to say, or to get people interested in both the cloud gaming service and in this device, to say, hey, you could stream games directly to this device over the internet. So there's still no processing that's happening on the device, but it doesn't have to be connected to your PlayStation. You don't have to leave your PlayStation, you know, on standby at home. Or maybe you can even try, you know, a bunch of new games that you don't necessarily or aren't sure about buying yet, or just want to try out. Maybe there's some demos on the cloud gaming service that you could try out. But this seems like a huge missed opportunity in my mind for PlayStation. But as you mentioned, it kind of shows just how ahead of the game Nintendo was, because they figured this out last generation.
Hmm.
And it's interesting, you bringing up the PS Vita is like, this is sort of a worse, I guess it's not sort of, it's a worse device than the PS Vita,
Yeah.
which came out like how long ago? And they're taking steps backwards in terms of technology, which is kind of weird, and functionality. But yeah, I guess in a long-winded way, I'm not interested in this device. I don't see myself buying one anytime soon. And I'm gonna go with your statement. This is a device that probably shouldn't exist.
Yeah. I mean, I guess just quickly, do you have any opinion on their strategy at this point? Like, it seems like there are rumors that there might be a more, expensive PlayStation 5 version of the PlayStation 5 coming sometime in the future, as a more like premium device. You mentioned that they have these new headphones that are coming out, and they are a little bit more premium. The base model is actually supposed to replace the Pulse wireless headset, but it's going to be $50 more, so $150 as opposed to the $99 that the original Pulse headset came out at. And then these earbuds that are kind of earpod style or AirPod style that come in a charging case and are supposed to be $200, along with this $200 accessory. Also, Sony just bought luxury headphone kind of manufacturer Odyssey. And this kind of reminds me very similar to the situation of Apple and Beats. When Apple bought Beats, they brought out their AirPods. And they kind of use that company's expertise to make their own stuff with their H1 chips and all that stuff. Sony's kind of doing the same thing with their new like Link technology, where okay, yeah, sure, this device doesn't have Bluetooth, but it has a specifically built-in link with these headphones to be very low latency and give you the best sound quality with all their like 3D audio and all that stuff. Do you think that this is PlayStation, being the Apple of gaming, this high-end accessory built kind of company where, okay, you don't just get a PS5, you also spend an extra, $1,000 on all the accessories that come with it, and you just get them because it's the cool thing to get. And also they're potentially going to be better than everything else out there, considering the fact that they bought one of the best headphone manufacturers in the market today.
My only pushback on that is that Sony already makes great consumer headphones in their, the XM5s, the
Good point.
XM4s. Those are widely seen as like probably the best bang for your buck headphones, better
Mhm.
than any, Beats, definitely better than the Apple AirPods Maxes. Like these are generally seen as the best headphones out there. So I guess I could see them buying that company to make more luxury style products, but in terms of just sound quality and how good the device is, they didn't need to buy that brand. To be honest, I haven't heard of that brand before. So the fact that like I know more about the XM5s and just the whole XM series than that brand, just from a standpoint of sound quality and what is the best headphone to get out there, I don't think this helps Sony that much.
Mhm.
But I definitely do see what you're saying in terms of they come out with a brand of or a line of products, let's say, that are all these are the the PlayStation 5 series of products with, as you mentioned, the headphones that they came out with and the AirPods that they're coming out with. And even if you look at okay, the gaming screen, the gaming monitor that they came out with too,
Yes, true.
right? I could see them. I mean, I don't know what's really left at this point. I don't know, maybe gaming couches or gaming chairs,
Gaming
but
wireless charger.
maybe, yeah. But I could see them doing that. I don't see it being that successful because that's very limited in terms of your market, right? When you look at the XM5s that they have, everybody listens to music. Or I'm sure there's someone out here that says I don't listen to music, but for the most part, everybody listens to music. So if you're selling something as okay, these are for just for listening to music, right? It's a lot easier to sell than a a headset that is specifically for your PlayStation 5 console that has a special link that it can connect to it quicker or easier or with lossless audio as opposed to just these regular headphones that anybody could use, because then you have to worry about okay, how many people one actually have a PlayStation 5, and then two, how many PlayStation 5s can you even get out? Maybe the entire world wants a PlayStation 5, but you can't make enough PlayStation 5s, and so then you can't sell enough headphones for the PlayStation 5s that you can't sell to people. But you could, I mean, you couldn't sell everyone an XM5 or XM4s. You couldn't sell everyone headphones. I guess at some point you would run out. But the demographic that you could sell to with just your regular headphones, as opposed to these are the special Pulse Elite Pro Max headphones that we're selling to PS5 users, it's just, narrowing your market share down for no reason. I guess, are you interested at all in this PlayStation Portal? Is it kind of, you're not that interested in the PS5, so then, therefore you're not interested in the PlayStation Portal? And let's say if this did have the ability for cloud gaming, would you be interested in something like this, considering it's considerably cheaper than an actual PlayStation?
And cheaper than a Steam Deck. I mean,
And cheaper than a Steam Deck, yeah.
I'll say this. I think PlayStation makes great hardware, and I'm always interested in the hardware that they make. I regret not buying a PlayStation Vita TV. There was a time when I really wanted it, and they launched super cheap. Like, they were like $99, and a point went down to like $40. And I regret never picking one up. And I wouldn't be surprised if this device has a similar kind of take. But that being said, I think Sony is really software limiting this device. I do think that it will get streaming support. If it's based off of Android, which is apparently what they've said, but you won't get access to that. It does seem like it's something that would be very easy for them to update to add that support down the line, and I wouldn't be surprised if they do that. But there's certain things about this that I think are really cool. I think the screen looks great from what I've seen, and the controls people are saying are very comfortable, potentially even more comfortable than the Steam Deck. And I've said many times, the Steam Deck controller is the most comfortable controller I've ever used. So, right up there with the Xbox 360 controller. So I think there's certain things about this device that are really cool, and I'd be interested to see how it evolves and, what people can do with it, especially outside of what PlayStation wants you to do with it. It's something I would never buy just because, once again, I do think this is PlayStation going down the luxury strategy of, we're going to sell you a console, but we're also going to sell you all these other things to go along with it. And I think this is very similar to the AirPods kind of. I think they're copying Apple, honestly. I think, AirPods became, and even things like the Apple Watch, these became super popular devices to the point where they are the most popular products in their category. AirPods are the most popular earbuds. The Apple Watch is the most popular watch. Like, it's just something that they've done by attaching a really popular brand with iPhone and making products around it, accessories around it that tap into that brand recognition. And honestly, PlayStation is at the biggest high it's ever been. PlayStation is a brand that is rock solid. At this point, it doesn't seem like they can do any wrong. So bringing out more products that are connected to that PlayStation brand, I think is smart. It's not for me, but I definitely think it will catch some people into getting more products in the PlayStation ecosystem, the same way we think of the Apple ecosystem.
Very true.